Okay, welcome to today's lesson. We're going to do verbs and prepositions today. Now, this is not the same as phrasal verbs. Why? It's because phrasal verbs, they change their meaning when you add the preposition. These words don't really change their meaning. You know, borrow and borrow from, they're the same. But when you add the from, it tells you who you borrowed the money from. You could just say, I borrowed some money, or I borrowed some money from my friend. So you can see how it doesn't change the meaning. In phrasal verbs, the meaning changes. And also you can put the object in between the verb and the preposition. You can't do that with any of these. Okay, so we're going to, the best way to learn verbs and prepositions are difficult in English. You just have to learn the verbs with the prepositions like they're one word. And the best way to do that is by using them. So I'm going to ask you some questions. I'd like you to reply. Please speak to your monitor. Practice saying the sentences. It's very useful. And answer my questions. So question number 1. Who does your house belong to? Or your flat where you are living now? Who does it belong to? Does it belong to your parents? Does it belong to yourself? Does it belong to your landlord? Okay, there's another good word that you might need, landlord. Who does it belong to? Your landlord is, of course, if you rent a flat, then it belongs to your landlord. Okay, question number 2. Have you ever been falsely accused of doing something? Have you ever been falsely accused of doing something? Maybe you've been falsely accused of stealing, or, you know, perhaps in a shop somebody said somebody wanted to talk to you and you hadn't stolen anything. Anyway, you answer that question. Have you ever been falsely accused of doing something? Okay, the next one. Who do you usually borrow money from? If it never happens, then speak to the screen and say, I never borrow money from anybody. Okay. Number 4. Who do you often have to lend money to? Okay, who do you lend money to? Okay, question number 5. Very important this, because the common mistake with my students is happen with, because they say it like that in their language, and so they try to use happen with me. What happened with you? What happened with me? That's not correct. What happened to you? And so I'd like to ask you if you have ever been robbed, and I think many people have, and if you have, when did it happen to you? When did it happen to you? Okay, when did it happen to you? Or perhaps if you've never been robbed, think about some other event. Have you, what other events could happen to you? But have you ever been sacked from your job? Have you ever been fired? What happened to you? When did it happen to you? And what happened? Okay, so try to repeat it when you say it happened to me 10 years ago, and then tell the story. What happened? Practice. Okay, number 6. Again, you get a lot of my students say speak with, talk with, and I don't like to say it's a mistake, because I know that you see and hear it in many films and books, and I believe it's acceptable in American English. I have to say it's very rare that you hear speak with and talk with in this town. In this town, everybody says to, and I believe that that's the correct British English preposition. How often do you speak to your parents? How often do you speak to your parents? How often do you talk to them? Try to give me the answer. Okay, we've got 2 different forms of think here. We've got think of, which is about opinion, and think about, which is about plans. They are different. One of them's stative, that's stative, and one of them's dynamic, that's dynamic. So you don't use this one in continuous tenses, but you do use this one in continuous tenses. Okay, so 2 questions here. What do you think of your Prime Minister or President? What do you think of him? Is he a good man? Are his policies effective? What do you think of your leader, your President, your Prime Minister? And concerning plans, What are you thinking about doing tonight? What do you think about doing tonight? Or what are you thinking about doing tonight? Are you thinking about having a party? If you're not, just make it negatives and say, I'm not thinking about having a party. But think about for plans. Okay, next one. Don't ever say depend from, like my students do. It's always wrong. So I'm going to put it here with a big cross. So, who do you depend on most? I think I depend on my wife most. She cooks and she helps me in a number of different situations. She helps me with many of these videos as well. So who do you depend on most? Okay, next one. When was the last time you apologised for something? When was the last time you made a mistake, like we all do, and you apologised for doing something? Okay. Next one, 2 words here, divide into, separate into. They both mean similar they have similar meanings. So how many rooms is your flat or your house divided into? How many rooms is it separated into? Okay, I want you to repeat and say my flat is separated into 5 rooms or 6 rooms or 10 rooms. Okay, and lastly, focus on or concentrate on. So, do you find it difficult to focus on studying English? Do you find it difficult to focus on studying English? Try using it. Try using concentrate as well in sentences. Now, of course, don't just use it now. Please use it in your next English lesson at school or at work or wherever you have to use English. Try to use them again and again and again, and you will remember them better and better and better. Okay, thanks very much. If you enjoyed a lesson, please subscribe, and I hope to see you all soon.